Hello students, in this video we are going to cover the last part of the theory of chapter 9, Force and Laws of Motion. Last topic of the theory part of this chapter is Law of Conservation of Momentum. So you should know the statement of this law and as well as its mathematical proof, which you are going to learn now. Statement. What is the statement of this law? When two or more bodies are interacting with one another. Here interacting means colliding, exerting force. So when two or more bodies are interacting with one another, then their total momentum before collision is equal to their total momentum after collision, provided no external unbalanced force acts on them. The statement is very simple. I hope you have understood it. Suppose if you have two or more bodies and they are interacting with one another, okay, it means they will exert force on each other, okay. So then their total momentum before collision, when will they exert force on each other? When the two bodies will collide. And when they will exert force on each other, their total momentum before collision is equal to their total momentum after collision. We know that when two bodies will collide, we can imagine that they will exert force on each other, and when they will exert force on each other, they will be accelerated, or in other words, their velocities will change and hence their momentum will change. But here, as per this law, their total momentum before collision is equal to their total momentum after collision. But what is the condition for this? Provided no external unbalanced force acts on them. Okay, so this statement can be written in short like this. You can write either this statement or this statement when you are asked to state the law. What is the other form? In an isolated system. Isolated system means a system where no external unbalanced force is acting. So system is a collection of two or more bodies. An isolated system is a collection of two or more bodies which are interacting with one another where no external unbalanced force is acting on them. So we have written this in short. In an isolated system, the total momentum of the system, means of all the bodies, remains conserved or constant. So this is a simple form of the statement for this law. In an isolated system, the total momentum of the system remains conserved or constant. Here remember, total momentum will remain constant, but individually their momentum will change. So let us consider the mathematical form of this statement just for two bodies. So if we have two bodies having masses m1, m2, and let us say u1, u2 are their velocities before collision. And let us consider here no external forces acting on them. So after collision, if their velocities become v1, v2, then their momentum will become m1, v1 and m2, v2. So what will be their total momentum before collision? m1, u1 plus m2, u2. And after collision, m1, v1 plus m2, v2. And as per this law, they are equal. Total momentum before collision is equal to total momentum after collision. But what is the condition? No external unbalanced force acts on them. So now let us see the mathematical proof of this law of conservation of momentum. Now let us see the proof of this law. Now first thing that we are going to write under the proof is introduction. Consider two bodies, let us say balls A and B. A and B are the names given to the two bodies. So consider two bodies A and B moving with uniform velocities UA and UB in the same direction on frictionless surface as shown in the figure. So let us have a look at the figure. Here A and B, two balls are there, two bodies are there. They are having masses MA, MB respectively. They are moving with velocities UA and UB respectively. And here we have considered that UA is greater than UB. So if UA is greater than UB and they are moving in the same direction, so what will happen after some time? We know that after some time the two bodies will collide like this. So let us read here now. Let UA be greater than UB, because if UA is not greater than UB, then there will be no collision. So we should mention it. Let UA be greater than UB. So after some time, the two bodies collide for time t. We know they will collide, and here we have considered, we have taken let, that after some time the two bodies collide for time t. So t is a time of collision. T is a not the time after this. After what time they collide, t is not that time. T is a time of during which they collide. Okay. So during which they collide means during which they exert force on each other. So t is a time for which they exert force on each other during collision. Let FAB is the force exerted by A on B. FAB is the force exerted by A on B, and FBA is the force exerted by B on A. So when they collide, what they will do? They will exert force on each other, and we have given the names. Okay. So the force exerted by A on B is FAB and B on A is FBA. And after collision, what will happen? Since force is applied on them, so there will be acceleration in each case and their velocities will change. So now let VA and VB be their velocities after collision, where VB is greater than VA. Because if VB is not greater than VA, then how will they separate? So we should write this condition, VB is greater than VA. So when you start with the proof, the first thing is you should introduce all the terms and explain everything in the form of sentences, and then you should draw the diagram. See this diagram, we have shown here this, they are moving on frictionless surface. Why we have considered frictionless surface? Because if friction will act on the two bodies, then the system will not be isolated. Then the external force will be acting on them, which we don't want. Because for this proof of this law, we know that we consider in an isolated system, the total momentum remains constant. So isolated means no external force should act, and hence we have taken frictionless surface. Now let us use Newton's second law of motion. According to Newton's second law of motion, what is the formula what is an expression for force? F is ma, and what is a? V minus u upon t. So we can directly write, according to Newton's second law of motion, F is m v minus u upon t, and hence using this we can write an expression for FAB as well as for FBA. Remember, generally students do mistake here, because we have taken FAB as what? Force exerted by A on B. So this force is acting on B. So we should take this as a rate of change of momentum of B and not of A. So FAB is force by A on B is equal to MB into BB minus UB upon T. Similarly, FBA is what? Force exerted by B on A, and hence it is equal to rate of change of momentum of A, MA into BA minus UA upon T. So be careful when you write this. If it is a force on A, it should be rate of change of momentum of A. If it is a force on B, it should be rate of change of momentum of B. Be careful when you use Newton's second law of motion. So after using second law, now let us use Newton's third law. What is Newton's third law? To every action, there is always an equal and opposite reaction. So when the two bodies collide, they exert force on each other. And according to Newton's third law, the two forces which they exert on each other should be equal and opposite. And hence, using Newton's third law, we have here FAB is equal to minus FBA. The two forces are equal and opposite, or action and reaction are equal and opposite. Now, here, so we have used Newton's third law and written this expression. And now here, from this relation, what we'll do? We'll use the expressions for FAB and FBA by from Newton's second law of motion. And putting this here, we get mb into vv minus ub upon t is equal to minus, don't forget this minus sign, minus ma into pa minus ua upon t. So when we see this, what will be our next step? The time t is common in both. So t gets cancelled. You can cancel t here. Then proceed. mb into bracket vb minus ub is equal to minus ma into va minus ua. Now next thing, we are going to open the bracket now. mb vb minus mb ub is equal to, now be careful here, there is minus sign outside, minus MAVA, and minus is plus MAUA. Okay. After this, what we'll do, we'll exchange the sides of negative terms to make them positive. So this negative term, when it will be shifted to this left hand side, it will become positive. So we'll shift this towards the left hand side and shift this minus MBUB towards right hand side to make it positive. So finally we get, when this is shifted this side, we get MAVA plus MBVB is equal to MAUA, this will go that side, plus MBUB. What is this? This is the momentum of A after collision. This is the momentum of B after collision. So this is total momentum after collision is equal to MAUA is the initial momentum of A body. MBUB is the initial momentum of B body, that is before collision. So this sum will be total momentum before collision. So we have proved that total momentum before collision and after collision are equal when no external unbalanced force is acting on the two bodies. So by taking two bodies and by considering the simple case of two bodies which are moving in the same straight direction, we have proved the law of conservation of momentum. This law is very important from the exam point of view also. It is very simple. It's not very difficult. But the only thing is, you should remember that here you should use first Newton's second law of motion and then Newton's third law of motion, and by using these two, easily you can prove the law. Now students, theory part of this chapter is over. Let us see the questions, box questions given on page number 128. Now this is the first question. If action is always equal to the reaction, explain how a horse can pull a cart. Now, solution or answer to this question can be better explained if we represent the vector by using arrow, show its resolution. It is not of your level. Okay, you will study vectors. You have one complete chapter of vectors in your 12th class in maths as well as in physics. 11th class you have the chapter in physics, and in 12th you have in maths. So this is better explained when you do the resolution of vectors, but here we will explain or give answer to this question in simple words only. Okay. Now if action is always equal to the reaction, explain how a horse can pull a cart. We know that horse and cart are tied together by using ropes. So when horse moves, it is pulling cart. So it is exerting a force on cart. And as per Newton's third law, there will be reaction, and so cart will also pull a horse, which will be, the force will be, the two forces will be equal and opposite. But remember that how a horse can pull a cart, it is not one of these two forces. How horse will walk? See, I have explained you, while walking what we do? We push the earth backwards. And earth applies equal and opposite force on us, and we are then able to walk. We move forward. Similarly here, when horse moves, what happens? It pushes the earth backward. It applies a force on earth in the backward direction, and earth applies equal and opposite force, that is reaction, on horse in the forward direction. And hence horse moves. And when horse moves, cart which is tied to it, it also moves because horse pulls a cart. Okay, so remember, when you give answer to this question, you have to mention that when horse pushes the earth in the backward direction, earth pushes horse in the forward direction by applying equal and opposite force, and hence horse comes into motion, and then it can pull a cart which is tied to it. Clear? So we'll keep the answer simple here. You will be able to understand it better in your 11th class. Now let us see the second question. Explain why it is difficult for a fireman to hold a hose, that is pipe, which ejects large amount of water at a huge velocity. So suppose if this is a pipe or a hose which is held by fireman and it is ejecting out large amount of water at very large velocity. So indirectly what happens? Through this hose, a large amount of force is acting on the water, because of which water is coming out with large velocity. And as per Newton's third law, this water will exert equal and opposite force on the hose, which is held by the fireman. So what will happen then? Now water is experiencing a force in the forward direction, and water is applying a force in the form of reaction on the hose in the backward direction. So this hose is held by fireman. It means he will be getting a force, he will experience a force in the backward direction, so he finds it difficult to hold the hose. So here, explain why it is difficult for firemen to hold a hose. You will explain that the water which is large amount is ejected at large velocity. As per Newton's third law, it will exert equal and opposite force on the hose which is held by firemen. So firemen along with the hose, they experience a force in the backward direction and a large force in the backward direction, and hence fireman finds it difficult to hold a hose. So these both are explained on the basis of Newton's third law of motion. Now let us do the third question. See, these questions are given on page number 126 and not 128. Okay. Now I'll read the third question. Third question is, it is a numerical. From a rifle of mass 4 kg, a bullet of mass 50 gram is fired with an initial velocity of 35 meter per second. Calculate the initial recoil velocity of the rifle. Now here the numerical is about bullet and rifle, and remember, there is no third body involved in this question, only rifle and bullet. So whenever the question is of bullet but it involves only two bodies, rifle and bullet, not the third body in which bullet has hit the body, so in that case what we will take, that their initial momentum is 0, because initially bullet and rifle both are at rest, so U1, U2 are 0, so their initial momentum before firing is 0. Remember, always remember this. Okay, I'll read the question now and we'll write what is given. From a rifle of mass 4 kg. So given, let us use right here rifle, and its mass is represented by M1 is 4 kg. Is from a rifle of mass 4 kg, a bullet of mass 50 gram is fired. So bullet's mass will be represented by M2, it is 50 gram. With an initial velocity of 35 meter per second. So what is the velocity of bullet? 35 meter per second. Remember students, I have told you before we have started this solution that whenever it is a case of rifle and bullet and no third object is involved, in that case their initial velocities are 0 and their initial momentum is 0. So although it is written there here that the bullet is fired with an initial velocity of 35 meter per second, I have represented it by V2 and not by U2. Okay, so V2 is 35 meter per second. It is the initial velocity with which the bullet was fired from the rifle. Calculate the initial recoil velocity of the rifle. See, we have seen in the second question, water is ejected from a hose and then it exerts in an equal and opposite force or reaction on the hose, water it exerts. So hose will be moving in the backward direction, will be experiencing force in the backward direction. Similarly here, when the bullet comes out from rifle with such huge velocity, then what happens? It is experiencing a force from the rifle, and as per Newton's third law, it will also exert a force on the rifle, and the rifle so moves in the backward direction. So if bullet moves forward, rifle is moving in the backward direction, and this backward movement in the backward direction we call it as recoil. So rifle gets recoiled when the bullet is fired. Okay, so what you have to calculate? The initial recoil velocity of the rifle, that is V1 is question mark, not U1, as it is a case of two bodies. So U1 is 0, this will be V1. So don't get confused, they have written find the initial recoil velocity of the rifle, still you have to take it as V1. So read the question twice as usual and then write whatever is given in the form of letters. Here we have two bodies, so we have used M1, M2 and V1, V2. Why not U1, U2 here? Because it is a case of only rifle and bullet. So as initially both bullet and rifle are at rest, U1, U2, each of this is equal to 0 meter per second. So therefore, if U1, U2 are 0, then the total initial momentum, which is M1, U1 plus M2, U2, will also be 0. So I have written unit along with this, 0 kg meter per second. Now we'll apply the law of conservation of momentum to solve this numerical. First of all, we should see any conversion required. Yes, this is in SI, this is in SI, but this is 50 gram in CGS. So we have to convert this into kg, and so we have to divide it by 1000. So M2 is 0.05 kg. Okay. Now we'll use this law of conservation of momentum. So mathematically it says that M1 U1 plus M2 U2 is equal to M1 V1 plus M2 V2. Now we have seen that initial momentum, we have mentioned it is 0. So this is 0. So 0 is equal to, just put the values here which are given, and hence we get this. Okay. So after simplification we can get here. See, 4V1 is equal to, take this on the other side, you will get it minus. So 4V1 is minus 1.75 and then V1 is minus 1.75 divided by 4. When you divide it, get the answer in 3 decimal places, minus 0.437, round it off to 2 decimal places using the rules, and since the last digit is 7 here, so 3 should be exceeded by 1, minus 0.44 meter per second. So the initial recoil velocity of the rifle is minus 0.44 meter per second. Whenever your answer is negative, you should mention what does it imply. Here negative sign we get because it moves, rifle moves or recoils in the direction opposite to the direction of bullet, or it moves in the backward direction. I hope the numerical is clear to you. Now the last box question, 4th number, is given on page number 127. So I'll read the question. Two objects of masses 100 gram and 200 grams are moving along the same line in the same direction with velocities of 2 meters per second and 1 meter per second respectively. They collide, and after the collision, the first object moves with a velocity of 1.67 meter per second in the same direction. Determine the velocity of the second object. So, two objects of masses 100 gram and 200 gram. So, what is given? Let us use M1, M2 here because we have two bodies and hence two masses. M1 is 100 gram, M2 is 200 grams. They are moving along the same line in the same direction with velocities of 2 meter per second and 1 meter per second respectively. It means 2 meter per second is the initial velocity of M1 mass. So U1 is 2 meter per second and U2 is 1 meter per second. They collide, and after the collision, the first body moves with a velocity of 1.67 meter per second. So 1.67 meter per second is the velocity of first body. So we have represented it by V1. Determine the velocity of the second object. Second object V2 velocity is question mark. Okay. So first of all, write what is given after reading the question twice. Then see if any conversion is required. We can see we have to convert this masses into kgs. So dividing by 1000, we can write m1 is 0.1 kg and m2 is 0.2 kg. Now we have to use the law of conservation of momentum here. So writing the mathematical part for this case, m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Total momentum before collision is equal to total momentum after collision. Now put the values here. Okay, after putting the values and after simplifying, we get 0.2 v2 is equal to 0.4 minus 0.167, that is 0.233. So v2 will be 0.233 divided by 0.2. So again, after doing the simplification, the final answer comes out to be 1.165 meters per second. Either you can write the final answer as 1.165 meter per second or 1.16 meter per second. So as the velocity is positive, no need to mention, but this is just for your reference that the second body will also move in the same direction as that of the first body. Okay. So I hope you have understood this chapter's theory well and the box questions also. So we'll be doing numericals which are left and the back exercise in our next video. Thank you, students.